Hey guys, it's Emma Vigling with TYT Politics. I hope everyone is having a good day. Some bad news came out again from the Trump administration. What else do you expect? He has officially decided to end the DACA program. Jeff Sessions came out today at around 11 o'clock Eastern to announce it for President Trump as the Attorney General. And essentially, the program is that Congress has 6 months to act to come up with a replacement, a real DREAM Act, because they were unable to, Hector says, I'm a DACA card holder and I'm crying so much right now. I'm so sorry, Hector. I mean, this is one of the things that wouldn't have happened if Trump lost in 2016. But same candidate, apparently. So Trump ended the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, that's what it was called, DACA, and a program that has protected nearly 800,000 young undocumented immigrants brought to the United States as children from deportation. The Department of Homeland Security will stop processing any new applications for the program as of today and has formally rescinded the Obama administration policy. And essentially, Obama could not get a real DREAM Act past Congress, and so he did an executive order, and that is why this is so flimsily overturned by Donald Trump, and why he is now calling upon Congress, kicking the ball to them, saying, okay, hey, now you deal with it. I will just destroy everything Obama did because I am a child that doesn't like him, maybe because he's black, and also because I'm a child once again, and he held this office before me, and I made my career off of calling him someone who wasn't a citizen of the United States, so I will continue to pander to my extremely racist base. So yes, the administration announced a plan to continue renewing permits for anyone whose status expires in the next 6 months. So Hector, I'm not sure if your status expires in the next 6 months, but it gives Congress time to act before any currently protected individuals lose their ability to work, study, and live without fear in the United States. So there is hope. This, again, means that he is just saying, Congress, you deal with it. Obviously, the bad news is that Republicans hold both the Senate and the House, meaning that any bill that comes out will obviously not be any progressive bill, but there is hope. And I emphasize this. I'm not sure that we should hold on to this hope, but this is all really we have right now. After Mitt Romney lost in 2012, the GOP released some sort of autopsy about why he lost and why they were unable to beat President Obama, who, by the way, wasn't very popular at the time. It was led by Reince Priebus, who is now out of the Trump administration, but it should be noted that he was a part of it. So this idea was at one point in the Trump administration, and his mindset was a part of, even a minute part of this ruling leadership that we have right now. He also still has the ear and respect of many Republican members. In the autopsy of their loss in 2012, they said this: "We need to campaign among Hispanic, Black, Asian, and gay Americans and demonstrate we care about them too. We must recruit more candidates who come from minority communities." A lot of this autopsy is about how they need more candidates from these minority communities as opposed to real policy, but it shows that they knew that they could not deport Hispanic Americans and still get their votes, which they emphasize here more. If Hispanic Americans perceive that a GOP nominee or candidate does not want them in the U.S., i.e. self-deportation, they will not pay attention to our next sentence. It does not matter what we say about education, jobs, or the economy. If Hispanics think we do not want them here, they will close their ears to our policies. In the last election, Governor Romney received just 27% of the Hispanic vote. If Hispanic Americans hear that the GOP, this is another part of the memo, if Hispanic Americans hear that the GOP doesn't want them in the United States, they won't pay attention to our next sentence. They emphasize that. If it doesn't matter what we say about the economy, etc. So this is another instance of Trump following the Steve Bannon wing of the party, not listening to the establishment. Steve Bannon has said in his horrific but Machiavellian smart way that the way for economic populism to work for the right wing is to essentially get the Democrats and the liberals on their heels in defending minorities and then just beef up the nationalism, drum up this us against them mentality, and that's how they will have an economic populist winning strategy. Obviously, the Republican establishment does not want that. Why Reince Priebus, when he headed the GOP, when he was the chair, wrote this memo. They want to bring minorities into the fold, even though they have completely pushed them away with the Southern strategy and with policies like this. So they did want to abandon that and move on and build for the future. Trump is doing this, is not doing that. Trump is completely doing away with that former strategy. So they see this as a losing issue for them. If Kasich was president, for example, if Marco Rubio or another establishment guy was president, Jeb Bush, do you think they would be doing away with this? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. They probably would have just let it be as an executive order and given no legislative solution. That's just my instinct. But because Trump has now, within the span of 10 days, pardoned Arpaio, Sheriff Arpaio, and has done this, he's essentially drumming up the same wall base, and he's bringing the Republican Party back decades in a place that they did not want to be. Yes, he did win, but he won because he was against an extremely weak candidate in Hillary Clinton. This long-term strategy is not good for the Republican Party, and establishment people like Reince Priebus know this. So now, Congress, he's called upon Congress to act. How will they act? We will see if the establishment wins or the complete racists and the Tea Partiers within the establishment win. Because, as we saw with healthcare, Republicans hold the House and they hold the Senate. So what comes out of there will be entirely a baby of the Republican Party. Will they let this expire, or will they come up with a legislative solution? What's unfortunate and what's scary about this is that when they were unable to pass anything in terms of health care, it was good for progressives and good for the country and good for everyone, really. Their bill had a 17% approval rating. When the Republican dysfunction was in existence in that instance, that was good for the country. But if they are unable to act on this, because this was an executive order, there is no legislation to fall back on. So Trump's decision to get rid of DACA would just hold after these 6 months. That is scary. So right now, the only thing that we have to hold on to is the moral fiber of the Republican Party. And when this bill goes through, will Trump veto it? That's what I worry about. Will he continue to buck the establishment of his party? I do not know. But all we have to hold on to is that the Republican establishment will do the right thing because they see it as their political suicide if they do not do so. Similar to the moderates not voting to just scrap the ACA. So this continues. The Department of Justice cannot defend this overreach, Jeff Sessions said today. There is nothing compassionate about the failure to enforce immigration laws. I disagree there. Enforcing the law saves lives, protects communities and taxpayers, and prevents human suffering. Failure to enforce the law in the past has put our nation at the risk of crime, violence, and even terrorism. The compassionate thing to do is to end the lawlessness and enforce our laws. I mean, the idea that this man can say that this is compassionate is so Orwellian. It is unbelievable. The move sets the clock for Congress to act to preserve the program's protections before DACA recipients begin losing their status on March 5th, 2018. Paul Ryan said something kind of good about how the Dreamers are Americans and came here under no fault of their own, etc. So that gives me a tiny amount of hope, but March 5th, 2018, that's what we got, that's what we have to, that's the ticking time bomb, essentially. That's when we know what is going to actually happen. I pray that Congress can actually do the right thing for once. And you know what will make them do the right thing if they think they're going to lose their election? The Republican Party. This is your ass, Republican Party. So wake up. This economic populism under Trump is not going to win under a stronger candidate, and the progressives wing of the Democratic Party is going to ensure that the strong candidate gets through the primary in 2020. You mark our words. So, wakey, wakey, do the right thing. Only because it saves your own ass. Because that's the only way we can rely on this morally bankrupt party to do anything that is the right thing for the country. And I will be covering a DACA rally this afternoon outside of Trump Tower. Please tune in. I will be on Facebook and on YouTube, I believe. So not exactly sure. I will let you know. But, this is extremely disheartening. And I'm so sorry, Hector, who tuned in earlier. Praying for you, man. Have you in my thoughts. All right. Thanks, guys.